All right, so picking up where we left off. Um, Hello, welcome to class. Yeah, picking up where we left off. We were working on king checkers. So if I remove that checker and then I move a black checker over here, it becomes a king checker. I don't think we added that for white checkers to become kings. We did not. So, and we've obviously got the layout all jacked up over here. So, um, we've got an image that we're overlaying in there, which works okay. A font awesome font would probably work better because we could change the color. Um, so let's see. Which direction do you guys want to go? Do you guys want to keep working with this image, or you want to do font awesome? Anybody? Yes.
Font awesome.
Font awesome.
Awesome.
Fontawesome.com. All right. And I think we also, looks like I'm rolling off the screen. Did we not fix that on?
Is it because you have the king checker that is?
Could be. Let me refresh this and pull that checker off the screen. I thought we had decreased the size of the cells. We didn't. I think we just did that in the actual we actually did it in the console.
Maybe we just did it in imaginary land.
In imaginary land. So now
Console log land.
we should. I wonder if 9 might be too big. So 9% of the minimal, the shortest. Remember, just reminding you guys what this means. VMin is the shortest dimension of the viewport, right? So in this case, I've got a relatively wide screen. So the shorter dimension is height. So the height would be the viewport minimum. And so 9 VMin is 9% of the height. So if I drop that, so I would say that's pretty good. It does a good job of using the space. I don't know if you can do decimals. I don't think that you can, because 8.5, yeah, doesn't look like it likes that. VMin. Oh, well, maybe not. 8.5 VMin. Let's see if that'll work, or if it will blow up horribly. All right, that looks okay, and it doesn't seem to be rolling off screen. And then, of course, if I go to a narrower screen, then VMin becomes the width as opposed to the height. Okay, so then it's measuring 8.5% of the width in this view. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the elements here. Let's go ahead and so we did that last class. We just did it in the console. We changed it down here, and we didn't actually save it into our CSS file. So now that's saved in there. Hopefully it's roughly what we did the other day. And now let's go fiddle with king checkers so that we can make those font awesomer. All right, so I saved that. And let's go over and look at font awesome. Start using it for free. Yes, that's what we want. Free is good. If you ever become a professional and you want to use font awesome a lot, you should pay them, because that they use that money to make it better, and people deserve to get paid for what they do. So I use font awesome actually relatively infrequently. Okay, so if we put this style sheet in there, it should enable font awesome fonts. So we go to our board.html, we drop this style sheet in here, save that, and I don't know why this guy, I don't like these to go like that. All right, easier to see what everything is. All right, save that, refresh this page. Should just load. I should hopefully not see any errors saying it couldn't load. Yeah, that's the same error that we were getting before. And look, it goes away when you click. No, it doesn't. It goes away when you click this. See? Problem solved. So let's see if we can put a awesome font on here. Over here to font awesome. Hopefully it's working. Let's go look at icons. See. Oh, there was a search bar right next to it. There are lots of cool icons that you could put on here. So king. Let's just see. King. So there's a chess king, and then there's a regular old crown. These are filled. There's filled in.
How do you know it's an old crown?
That's true. Yes, ma'am.
Where's Hope?
I don't know. I feel very hopeless.
I just realized that.
You just
Yeah.
realized
Yeah.
that?
Yep, she's your sister.
Yeah, I noticed that
Um,
too.
Yep. So now with the
I
free
did.
version, you don't get access to everything. So if I uncheck free, it has these ones that are grayed out, and so we'll just go with free. And I think we'll just go with the regular old crown. We don't need a chess crown, I don't think. So, and here's the code for it right there. I can download the SVG, or I can click it, copies the HTML, and then I'm going to go over here to core.html, and I'm just going to drop it on the page somewhere, just to make sure it be working, yo. All right. So we'll put a new p tag at the bottom. We'll drop a crown in it. See what happens. And there's a crown. Yay! Okay. So that makes us happy. That means Font Awesome is working. So let's go ahead and start putting that into in checkers.js when we render a checker if it's a king. Now, Amy, you asked the question the other day about using different images, and that would definitely work. You could just change the style. You know, you could add the style king. That would be what I would do, like black. Y'all are messing with me.
No,
No, I'm just
There
kidding. I
was-
saw him. I saw him. So yes, you could just add an extra style of king. So you'd have like style black, style checker, style king, and then if something had all three of those, or if you could change the image. All right, so that would work. But in our case, we're just going to try dropping this icon in there. And let's just for style, color, and we'll do yellow. Just to make sure that it shows up well on both. All right, we shouldn't see anything. We do see our king down at the bottom. Let's move this guy out of the way. That should not do anything, but this should, and it does. All right, so we get our font in there, so that's good. It shows up. It's yellow. That's cool. Now we just need to work on the layout. So let's inspect that element. We can see. Let's take a look at why we've got some padding around it. Let's see why it's font weight 900, font family, font awesome 5 free, all of that. Does this have padding? Width, doesn't look like it.
He just like rode away on his bike.
So I've got that. That's the side. That's my actual checker. Let's take a look at this. So that's my. But why? And that's showing up at the top. I'm not seeing anything else. So why is that? It's so big, so little. That's got some padding on, or some margin on it. Worth fiddling with. I hate fiddling during class because we're not guaranteed to have a positive result.
Are you sure it's a fiddle and not a violin?
I wouldn't mind fiddling if that's the kind of fiddling we were doing. Little Devil Goes Down to Georgia.
Or perhaps
Action.
it's a viola and confuse the other one.
That. There is something that is giving this line height of 1. That's not changing anything. All right, well, let's try margin of 0. That didn't change anything. So negative margin is an interesting thing, but that's actually not even doing anything. So let's try this. Padding of 0 pixels. That's not helping. Oh, that's cool. Huh. I didn't know it would do that. If I hover over this style, like this margin, it's showing me where it's actually doing those margins. What I'm not understanding, and I wonder if it's something to do. Let me refresh this page so I clear out some things. Could be way above it. Move you out of the way, move you down there.
It looks like it's wearing a crown.
That doesn't have any.
There's one king surrounded by all his subjects.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I wish I had a good answer for you guys, but I don't know that I'm going to. Let me go and see if just making that smaller will have a positive effect on the overall outcome. So margin 0. Padding 0, of course. And then font size. So changing the font size doesn't seem to affect it either.
It just wants to be different and make a statement.
That's interesting.
Special. Oh wow.
I like
big
that.
crown.
That's the body. Ah, wait a second. FA before content. All right, well, that's going to require a little fiddling to figure out, and I don't think that this is particularly educational at this point. So, but the plus side is I can move that busted-looking checker to different places. Okay, so So that definitely works. Okay, it's ugly, but it works. All right, I'll figure that out, and I'll let you guys know what the overall solution was and why that's working that way. I wonder if actually it seemed like putting anything in there actually had that same effect, but let's just try something over here real quick. Let's try just for a minute. I'll comment that out. I'm just going to put, instead of a tag, put a K inside of there for king, which is going to be black, so it will be hard to see. But we can see it, and when it shows up, so it's not, doesn't have anything to do with Font Awesome, but it does have something to do with the way that the actual text is being rendered. So I'll have to figure that out, okay, and let you guys know. Absent that, what else are we missing to have a fully functional chess game? Can anybody think? Okay, so adding rules.
Actually, they're missing one.
Yeah. Adding rules would be is something that we could do. Okay. I'm inclined not to do that because the code gets really complicated at that point. Okay. In other words, if I select here, how can I let it know that this is the only space that I should be able to move to? Okay, and that should be okay, but selecting this should not be okay. There is, to give you guys an idea of how we could do that, I could come over here in board.js, because that'll happen in move selected checker here, right? And I could grab the row and cell of the selected checker and make sure that they were not the same, right? And that both of them were exactly one number off. Okay, does that make sense? Like, it'd be relatively easy to say, that my row, in order for me to move my checker, my row needs to be one greater than the other row. And my cell has to be either one greater or one less, right? So that would be relatively easy. But then what about king checkers? Then we have to add another if. But if I'm a king checker, my row has to be one greater or one less, and my cell has to be one greater or one less. Okay, and then that would prevent you from, selecting other, or when you clicked on another cell, nothing would happen. You'd say don't do anything. Yeah.
Can I go blow my nose again?
Huh?
Can I go blow my nose again?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please bring. Go bring some. There's a tissue. There's tissue right there. So, but yes.
Mother summoned me to do something. May I leave class?
Your mother summoned. How do you know your mother summoned you to do something?
Because she messaged me to do something. I will come back.
You may. Absolutely. All right. Anything else? If you guys want to implement that, I'm definitely not opposed to it. But the code does start to get a little bit more complex. Okay. Did we do our checkers? Let's just take a look at our checkers and see. Let me inspect that. Our cells don't have a value on them, but just to give you guys a feel of what that would look like. So here I've got the row and the cell. Select your checker row, select your checker cell. And that's where I'm actually making the assignments. So if I was to say, let's see, new row. So this, I'm just taking, instead of assigning it directly, assigning it to a variable, new cell first. That way I can check. All right. So then I would say if new row is less than or equal to, well, actually no, because it's different. If you're a black checker, it has to be less than. If you're a white checker, it has to be greater than. But we could say, we could at least say that if new cell is equal to, oh, and we need to use fuzzy equals to make this work well. Selected checker dot row plus 1 or all that same jazz, right? So if all of that is, if either one of those, so I've either gone forward or I've gone backward, right? And, oops, that needs to be a minus. Actually, it'd probably be easier to say this. If this is not equal to that, and not equal to that, then do something. Then just return. And maybe I'll put an console error invalid row. Okay, so let me go ahead and refresh that. So I select this and it moves just fine. Select this. Okay, and nothing happens. Let's go take a look at the console. So uncaught type error, console is not a function. Oh, console.log is a function. We use that many times. So if no, we actually want this. Because either one of those can be true. Boolean logic can be complicated. So if that should have worked. But in this case, I'm saying if the new row, if both of these are not true, right, then I should get an error. Let's see what we got here. Like I said, things get complicated when you start trying to implement rules. So that works. Invalid new row. That should be okay, because my row is one less. So new row equals selected row minus 1. Not sure why that's not working.
Excuse me.
When in doubt, use parentheses. This is simpler. Because it's not equal to selected row plus 1 and new row is not equal to selected row minus 1. This is where I want that parenthesis, not the other place. Then it's an invalid row. It seems like it ought to work. Well, more data. Invalid new row. New row. Oh. I think I know what it is. Yeah. Actually, I do know exactly what it is. This won't. This will work. But that, oh, that does work. But it doesn't go back. It'll always go forward, but it won't go back. That's interesting.
Isn't that what you want it to do, though?
It sort of is, but the question is, will these work? See?
Yeah, it all goes.
Yeah. All right. I think I know what it is. Anybody have ideas?
Magic. Lots and lots of magic.
No.
With some fairy dust mixed in.
All right. Invalid new row 6 for this checker. Okay. Which is in row 5. Okay. So that ought to be okay. But if I put this, let's do /n. Actually, I'll just do this as a new. Any ideas yet? Valid options are. This is one of our valid options, right? And here's the other valid option. Now let's go back. Oh, that's weird.
It might have something to do with that.
Those are weird valid options. Why are those? Why am I getting those valid options?
Is it saying like the row number is some number or something mixed in with some other number?
Well,
Is
here,
that
I've
what
got
it's saying?
I've got invalid row 6. Okay, and here's my selected checker, right? It has a cell of 6, row of 5. It says the valid options are 51 and 4.
Well, clearly there's the row 51.
51 is problematic, isn't it?
Right there.
How did we get 51?
Is it, do you just like incatenate the 1 on top of the 5?
Not incatenate, but concatenate, yes. Absolutely. It concatenated. When you use the plus operator with strings, it concatenates. Okay? And because that happens to be a string in that situation, right? We're using fuzzy logic, right, for these things, right? And we're using the string 5 because that's how it got set, right? Well, that is causing us problems. So the string 5 plus 1, string plus a number, turns the number into a string and concatenates them. Does that make sense? Okay, to give you a better illustration, I will simply go right here. Log, and I have 5 plus 1 equals 5 plus 1. However, see what happens there. Interestingly, all right, let's run all of this. Move that, we'll get all our output. So 5 plus 1 is 6, we expect that. String 5 plus 1 is the string 51, okay? Or the string 5, 1, really. Okay, at this point it's not 51. 5 minus 4 is 4, of course. The string 5 minus 4 is also 4. Because the minus operator doesn't have any relevance to strings. And so JavaScript's like, well, I can't subtract a string, but the string looks like a number, so I'll turn it to a number. So JavaScript does all these things for you kind of behind the scenes, which sometimes are nice, and sometimes they can be confusing. Okay? That makes sense? So probably the best thing, the best solution is to
Not cheat off of JavaScript on your math.
not cheat off of JavaScript on your math
That's a
test.
good idea.
True. But probably would be to store real numbers in here instead of strings. When we change the value of a cell, we should probably store it. Instead of as a string, we should store it as numbers. And it just so happens that we're doing it right in this exact same spot. Okay. So, because we're taking ID parts is splitting a string, right? It's splitting the ID, okay? So we need to turn that into a real number. So JavaScript
Good afternoon.
string to int. All right, parse int. Yep. All right, so parse int text 10. The base number used in mathematical systems.
Oh, interesting.
Parse float number returns 1, 2, 3. String to number. Oh, that's kind of nice. It's less safe than parse int and parse float. You know the format of the number you like, use those instead. We'll go over here, and I'm just going to use number because I don't care what you said. Number. All right, and numbered. All right, so by converting these into numbers, okay, because later on those are what's going to get assigned to that new cell after it gets moved. It should keep everything numbers all the time. Okay. So, and then I should be able to use actually strict equals on these things, but we'll take a look and see if that solves our problem. And we'll know as soon as we move the first one. So I move this. Number is not defined. Well, this guy said it was. Oh, capital N number, it looks like. Okay, you see no strings? So that's good. I can move down and I can move up, but I can't move here, right?
Yeah.
So that's a plus. Now I also can't move back on the board, right? Like I said, you start implementing rules and suddenly you realize how complex the game of checkers really is, okay? So it's like, oh, but if I'm out of play, then I have to have different behavior. So if I'm black, I have to have this behavior. If I'm white, I have to have this behavior. If I'm a king checker, I have to have this other behavior. If I'm out of play, I have to have this behavior. So you end up with significant. Now, I think it's great. I'm not going to implement it, okay, because I feel like there's, we've gotten the bulk of the value of playing checkers, right, without the bulk of the work of implementing the rules, especially when you start thinking about something like chess, okay? But if you do decide to go down that road, it does create some interesting, like you can end up thinking through some interesting problems and designing your solution in really interesting ways. So, for instance, I probably wouldn't have used the move checker here. I probably have a return to board method. For if my selected checker is out of play, and I click on the board, then it would call return to board. It wouldn't call move checker here. So, but again, all of those are sort of dependent, on situationally. Okay. But building that out would be, would definitely be a good amount of fun. Okay. That said, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the logic that we just created today. Boom. Go back to that. I don't think it's a bad idea though to use number here. I think that's actually a good idea. So we did learn a little something today. And to keep these as numbers rather than letting them be strings and just being kind of fuzzy with it, I think that's good. And then we can refresh this and make sure that when we move things, they stay numbers. So that's good. Okay. So get rid of that. And then I can go back over here. And one thing I needed to do here. Get rid of that. All right. So it is 12:42, and we have what I would call a fully functional checkers board. We don't have a fully functional checkers game. Okay, a game requires rules. A board doesn't. All right, and to be honest, that's an interesting abstraction choice, right? If you choose to automate a board, right, a playing area, then you rely on the players to enforce the rules and to make good decisions. It does drastically simplify what you're trying to build. Okay, building a game would be a lot more complicated, but it's a lot easier. Less opportunity for people to make mistakes. Less likelihood that while you're not looking, I'm going to be like, oh, let me just take that off the board. Right? So those are all things that are design decisions. Okay. Other things that could be implemented here that would be kind of cool would be maybe a game log. right? Like down here at the bottom, if you had just had a list of, and actually that would be kind of cool because if you're on a widescreen, you could put the game log. You could do it like game log to one side, and if you're on a narrow screen, you could have the game log below, right? And then simply show like this checker moved from here to here, this checker moved from here to here, this checker moved from here to here. So you kind of have a history of the moves, right? In that way, you could also even go so far as to implement like an undo button that would, take things out of the movements, to go back and say, well, move this checker back to its last place. Okay, so cool. All right. I don't think I'm going to do a game log right now. Although it would be kind of fun and interesting, especially as you start to look at chess. Okay, chess having game logs is kind of pretty common in a chess game. All right, but what I do want is to take a look at what you guys got. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the